Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. We're going to be profiling the mass murderer at Lane Bryant department store. And that's back in on February 2nd, back in 2008. This guy did a robbery and he mass murdered 5 women, tried to kill a 6th. He thought he probably did, but thank God she survived. He only wounded her, and she was able to give some information on him. So we're going to be profiling the Lane Bryant department store killer today. That took place in Tinsley Park, Illinois. At this time, I want to send our condolences out to the victims and their families. Very, very sad situation. All these situations are extremely sad, but especially, when you got 16 or 18 years later, and I'm sorry, 2008, we've got what? Yeah, 16 years later, and nobody's been caught. All right, that's pretty sad. But unfortunately, this guy has never been caught, and he needs to be, and we need your help. There's no question about it. To all you production companies that follow us, please get a hold of us. We've got 3 projects finished, and we'd like to run them by you, see what you think about them. I think we've got some really good stuff for you. You might like it. I think you'd like to see it. Also, I want to ask everybody out there to please subscribe, like, and please send us your comments. We love your comments, and after this show, I think you might have quite a few comments, and we are interested in all of them because, like I said, this guy's never been caught. So this could be it. This could be nail in his coffin. This could get him. This could get him caught. Get him apprehended. At this time, I want to thank you all for all your kind feedback and purchases of my book. Thanks for many purchases and all great feedback. I can't thank you enough. It's called Discovering Lazarus. It's really the good, the bad, and the ugly of John Kelly. How I kicked a horrible cocaine habit, became a counselor, moved on to psychotherapist, and eventually became a profiler. There you have it. Discovering Lazarus, the good, the bad, and the ugly of John Kelly. Thank you so much for all your purchases and all your feedback. And last but not least, I want to give a big shout out to Detective Derek Lavasser of Detective Perspective, because we watched him the other night and he was very interesting. And I got to tell you, he impressed me. He hit a lot of nails dead on. He was right on them, nailed them right in. And we're picking up from there. Our goal is to try and put some kind of profile out there that we think is certainly appropriate. And we think we have a good chance of hopefully identifying, or someone out there identifying who this person is, if they're still alive or if they're dead, and getting this information over to the police in Tinsley Park, Illinois. So we'll hook that number up for you too. We'll place that number up above, and hopefully if somebody remembers this guy or thinks they know who this guy is, they can report it to the police. There's also a sketch we'll put up for you. And, I think that you might have someone out there knows who this guy is. There's no doubt in my mind. Believe me, somebody knows who this guy is, and if you do, please make the call. Don't hesitate. There's a lot of families been waiting a lot of years, families and friends, for some kind of justice here, okay? Thank you so much. So on we go, and our producer is going to start to ask me questions about the case because she's had a big interest in this. Leah, how are you today?
Hi, good. How are you doing, John?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
What do you got?
All right, so let me just give a rundown of kind of what's going on in this case here, what we watched yesterday on this. So um, back February 2nd, like you said, in 2008, the Lane Bryant store that had opened up just at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and this guy comes in. So he shows up at the store, comes in the front entrance that we know of. Um, he supposedly looked up at the ceiling. We're assuming to check for cameras here, and he has paperwork in his hand. So he's pretending to be a delivery driver. And in the store at the moment, there's the store manager and a part-time employee. I believe the part-time employee was up at the entrance there, welcoming him. Um, and then his demeanor changed once he realized, we're assuming that there were no cameras there, and he pulls out his gun. And that's when things kind of start going down here. So he starts to demand money from the register from them. He's asking them to clean out each other's purses. So in the meantime here, there's two other customers that come in, two other women. He also takes them into the back room along with the two employees, has them tape each other up with duct tape that he brought to the store. Two other employees come in, or not employees, customers come in. So at this time, there's 6 people total he has in the back room there. And he's just kind of ranting and screaming, anytime they don't really follow his commands or do things right. So that's what we have going on here. And I have a lot of questions for you, John. Lots of questions on this one because it's really interesting. The first one here, it's kind of hard to pick which one to begin with, but like I was just thinking, what causes somebody to be so desperate in the morning at this time of day to rob a store, like in public, in a shopping center like this, on a Saturday morning when it's busy? What do you have to say about that to get things started?
Yeah, to get things started, I think this is an extremely desperate person. Okay. And, I mean, there's a reason he needs money and he needs it fast because this is pretty much a bold move, to show up on a Saturday morning and to try to rob a department store. What is it, like 10:30 or something, middle morning or something? I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, that's got to be crazy because, usually at the end of the night, back in those days, there was a night deposit made. So the money would be pretty much gone. They'd only have enough money on hand to make change, usually for the next day, maybe a little bit more, right? For refunds or something like that, but not a lot of money. And, you just got to ask yourself, what's going on here? So I look at it as somebody who's desperate. So now the question is, why is he desperate? And with detective perspective and Derek Levasseur, I think here again, he nails something when he starts to talk about possible drug addiction. Okay. I'm looking at that hard. I'm looking at drug addiction hard. Okay. I mean, an addict, if they don't get their drugs, they're going to go through a certain type of withdrawal. And the question is, to me, what kind of drug would it be? Now, if it's heroin, or some kind of strong morphine-like, central nervous system depressant, I mean, he's gonna start to kick if he doesn't get what we call his get up. Okay, I mean, heroin addicts always make sure that they have their get up, their fix, usually for the next morning. All right. So if this guy doesn't have, if he is a drug addict and doesn't have uh, his drug of choice, the drug he needs, and I'm saying heroin here, but it could be a couple other drugs too, then he's going to have to get some money, especially if he's broke. He's got to go to the dealer. Well, the dealer may not want to hear, or give him credit. May not want to hear, about him not having any money. So he's got to get money. He's got to get money quick. He's desperate. And, you have to look at how desperate this guy, but you also have to look look at how ruthless this guy is, because you're talking about somebody that is entering and knows something about shopping stores, department stores, because he's bringing in what looks like a manifest or some paperwork, right? And saying he's here to make a delivery or whatever. And he's checking out, see if there's any cameras inside, right? Very, very important. That tells me he probably checked outside too to make sure there were no cameras that could catch his face as he was going in, or how he could dodge around those cameras. Because if he's looking at them inside, I believe he's looking at them outside. So, okay. So that's something that's kind of jumping out at me. He needed money. He needed quick, and he's so desperate. And people need to understand this. This guy is a ruthless, cold-blooded killer because he's walking in without a mask on. He's trying to pull the wool over their eyes with some kind of paperwork, some kind of manifest, some kind of shipping stuff. The bottom line is, this guy's going in there with the intention and knowing he's going to have to kill somebody. Whoever he robs, whoever gives him money, he's going to have to kill them because they can recognize him. He doesn't have a mask on. So he's going in there with the intention of not only robbing, but of killing as well. Go ahead.
So you would say like he killed these women for witness disposal, or did he have another motive? Like, I don't know. He just liked killing people? What do you think?
No, I don't think he necessarily is like a serial killer and is obsessed with killing people. I think that he didn't want to go to jail. He didn't want to get caught and go to jail. So he doesn't want any witnesses. And he knows that going in, that somebody's got to see him because you don't have a mask on. I mean, if they're going to open that cash register and hand over the money to him, they're going to see him, right? Mm-hmm. So he's going in there with that thought in mind. He's going to kill whoever he got to kill to get this money because he's so desperate for it. And again, coming back to how desperate can you be for, this kind of money? I do not believe it was a lot of money, and a little bit of money. So you're willing to kill people and ended up killing 5 and wounding a 6th, for a little bit of money. I mean, how desperate can you be? How crazy can you be in the head? And that leads me to believe that, there's drugs involved here. So this man was very, very desperate. And what else can make you that desperate, that irrational, can even add to your hardening? I mean, this guy is a homicidal maniac. This is a mass murderer. This is mass. He just didn't kill one person. He killed 5 people.
This guy's sick. So, all right, he killed 5 of these poor women. What do you think about him? So, like, all these women are different races. Does that mean anything to you? Like, he killed these women regardless of race.
No, this guy doesn't discriminate. If there was a male there, he would have killed the male too.
Yeah.
This guy does not discriminate. He's a cold-blooded killer. And some of these women were of color. And it didn't matter to him. Some were white, some were color. He doesn't discriminate. If you're a witness, you're going. He's getting rid of you, okay? Once he gets his hands on the money. And, that's pretty much what he did. Pretty much what he did. And except, with the, tying them up in restraints and all that's, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So yeah, you got me there on the restraint thing. So I have another question before we get into that though. Why do you think he chose the Lane Bryant store? Any reason for that?
I don't certainly this guy does not seem like an experienced robber to me at all. Okay. And again, I give kudos to Detective Perspective because they're right on that. I mean, this guy doesn't seem like he seems like a moron when it comes to robbing a place. He doesn't seem like a real experienced kind of robber. I mean, an experienced robber would never, risk killing all these people for a little bit of money or in the beginning, or walk into a store at that time of day and everything. I mean, the whole thing is ludicrous. Seems like a moron when it comes to that, right? He seems like a complete moron, but he is a cold-blooded killer. There's no question about it. I just think that this store was just picked out randomly, impulsively. He's impulsive, and he's desperate, and he's a killer. I mean, a very scary guy.
Yeah. So what does it take for somebody to be able to pull this off? Like experience? Has he done this before, do you think? Where did he come from that he's able to just cold-bloodedly kill these women? Like, I feel like somebody off the street just can't do that right away. You can't go from 0 to 60. What do you think about him doing this?
I think that he is not proficient at robberies.
Yeah.
But is proficient at abductions and murder and killing people, we'll put it like that. Where did he learn this? He learned this somewhere. Just like he learned somewhere about showing up with the paperwork that he's a delivery man and he has a manifest, some kind of delivery paperwork, and he has something to deliver. He used that as a ruse to get into the store. He learned that somewhere. Okay, he learned that. Was he a delivery man? Did he help out on a truck? Where do you learn that? Okay, because that's a pretty good ruse to get you in the store, right? But also too, when it comes to the robbery itself, very unsophisticated, no question about it. But when it comes to the abduction, control, the bonding of the women with the tape, bonding their feet, bonding their hands. Okay. I mean, he had more sophistication with that, more sophistication knowing how to use a pistol. Supposedly, he killed these women with a shot in the back of the head. Where did he learn that? How did he know about that? I mean, he shot 6, wounded 1, but he killed 5 out of 6 with the same technique. Okay, that's not bad average. And, really a psychopath, a heartless psychopath, because he probably tied them up and, once they were all bound, he probably, told them, just keep your mouth shut and, you'll be all right. Somebody will come and find you. Don't be yelling or screaming or, anything like that. Just stay quiet and I'll let you go. And then he came back and he killed them. I mean, because, that's how that's what they always say. Just do what I tell you to do and I won't hurt you, but they're always lying. They're always lying. So I think he showed some sophistication in the abduction, but and in the murders, but not in the robbery itself and picking the right kind of place. However, nobody's caught him, so I could be wrong, right? I mean, maybe he's more sophisticated than I give him credit for, and but he tried not to leave any loose ends, and as far as he was concerned, he didn't. He probably thought he killed them all, but one lived. She only got wounded, thank God. She was able to give a description of him, and he probably changed his whole look the next day. He probably got rid of his dreadlocks, got rid of those beads he had on his head, and probably had a whole fresh new look about himself. As soon as he realized somebody had seen him.
Yeah. So why do you think, or like, what do you think made him take the time to get them restrained in all the back room, but then immediately after shooting them, he just leaves and doesn't even check if they're all deceased? What do you think that has to do with it?
Well, I think he believed they were all dead.
Yeah.
I think he believes he's that good, okay, at killing people. They're all dead. Usually these guys want in and out as quick as possible. I think that probably had something to do with it too. He just wanted to, grab the money and run kind of thing. But he was restraining people and kind of piling them up in that room. But he was also taking their money too. So I don't know if he felt anybody that came in, he could get more money by taking their money, because he not only took the store's money, but he made the girls empty their purses, right?
Mhm.
Or hand over their money. He
Yeah.
robbed them too. He robbed them too. So, this guy probably, has done some person on person robberies out there, but to think about robbing department stores definitely is not his forte. Murder is his forte. This guy is a killer, pure and simple. God knows how many bodies he's got out there. Strikes me as some kind of a gangbanger, hitman kind of guy for some gangs, doing some work like that. That would be, abducting people, shaking them down, home invasion, maybe, that's where I'd be looking for this guy. This guy's as bad as they get. I mean, this guy is a pure-blooded, cold-blooded killer
Mhm.
who,
So,
who needed money, was desperate, needed money.
yeah. So we know what he likes to do there, but like what about his profession? I think you touched on this a bit, but what do you think he did from an actual job?
If he had an actual job, if he made an actual living through work in some area, I would be looking into probably, working, like I said, as a laborer on a truck where he's familiar with delivering stuff, or even driving. Maybe could have been a driver where he had to learn somewhere about paperwork, manifests, delivery invoices, whatever you want to call it, to use as a ruse to get into the store. See, that showed some sophistication, the ruse to get into the store, right? It showed some sophistication if there were no cameras out front and he scoped those out first before he went inside to scope out to see if there's any cameras. That made that showed a little sophistication. But and maybe that's why he thought he could knock off that store, because he had experience in being around or in department stores through, delivery or labor or whatever, could have even worked in some way, shape, or form in some kind of department store. That would be my last guess, because again, if he worked there, he would realize that the money leaves at night for the nightly deposit to the bank, doesn't stay there overnight, and each day's a new day, and they got to start fresh, and there's very little cash on it.
Mhm. That's true. Okay. So earlier we had talked about his appearance here. Yeah, I know this guy. He's been described here. I'm going to read it. The husky, medium to dark complected black man, approximately 6 to 6 foot 2 inches tall, receding hairline, braided hair with those green beads, at least at the time. And I know we talked about how he could appear to the women here. What do you think his appearance says about him? Like, um, we talked a bit about maybe if he's hung out or something, how he could appear to the women. Do you think that would have been said, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think he's an extremely visual guy. With us, we do a lot with primary intake census. And his primary intake sense would be, I'm sure, I'm 99% sure, visual. He's a very, very visual guy, and he's very concerned about how he looks, how people see him, how they perceive him. Looks mean a lot to him. And that's why, witnesses that know what he looks like need to go. He knows that if they've seen him, I mean, being as visual as he is, that they can identify him and send him to prison or wherever. So, I mean, he's very visually focused, concerned about what he looks like, like I said, would have changed his looks probably as soon as the next day, probably after this. He probably changed his appearance the next day after this. So if somebody knows somebody that looked like him one day, and then the next day he looked different, everything was changed. His hair was cut off. His, started to grow a beard or whatever, or those red beads were gone from his hair. Um, I don't know exactly how he could have done it, but his appearance, could have changed rather quickly. For people that might think they know him or might have known him back in the day.
Yeah.
But also too, again, it's just this, real focus on, you know, getting into that store. And again, like I said, using visual things as the ruse to get in, like the paperwork and, I'm the truck driver outside or whatever, and I've got packages for you. I'm looking at him as probably, really knowing something about deliveries to stores, some way, shape, or form. Somehow he got that into his head. Does that answer your question? Because I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that answers it here. I guess okay, so you'd say his primary intake sense is visual. That's
Very
safe.
visual person. Very, very visual. Yes. Go ahead. Ask your questions.
All right, so one thing I know he can't change is the sound of his voice. What do you think about the recording that they
See,
have?
that's perfect. Like usually these guys that are psychopaths usually have one of two primary intake senses. They're either, and most of them are very visual. Most of them are very visual, but some of them are auditory. So they're good talking, uh, but the visual people that are really visual, they're not that great at communicating talk wise, verbally, right? Well, again, going back to Detective Perspective, if you listen to it, and I would encourage people to check it out, um, he, Detective Lavasser, couldn't even make out with headphones on and everything what the guy was saying. It was all kind of garbled or whatever. I'll bet you the guy is not good at talking, is not good at carrying on a verbal conversation. That he lives and dies through his eyes. And most of these guys are very, very, very quiet kind of guys. They don't talk a lot. They don't talk a lot. They're kind of deadpan. And you could sense the anger and rage permeating from them because they always have it. They're always carrying it around with them. And I think that he's um, definitely not a talker, not a conversationalist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense here.
Now, is there another piece to that I didn't answer? Because I do get off on my tangents.
I think you got me.
Yeah, it was just about verbal. Okay.
Yeah. Just like the audio recording, I think you got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Really, that audio recording, I mean, that tells me a lot, that they can't even, it's really messed up. I mean, I know it was taken under duress and wasn't the greatest situation to record somebody, but still in all, I just think this guy has communication problems.
yeah.
And probably some type of learning disability. I mean, we see a lot of that too in these kinds of psychopaths.
That's a good point to make. Yeah. You'd think somebody, if they could hear any part of his voice, would be able to make it out and identify him, though.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. If somebody has ever communicated with this guy for any length of time verbally, they would be able to make his voice out no problem.
and be like, oh,
I
I know
truly
that
believe
guy.
that, and I can't even hear the guy, but I know how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, okay, not to get too ahead of myself here, but why do you think nobody would snitch on him in that case? The reward is so high; it's $100,000. I mean, that's a lot of money to make somebody talk. So they maybe could hear his voice. They know about the green beads, his hairstyle, what he looks like, what he was wearing. Why wouldn't somebody say a thing? What's the reasoning?
Well, see, my thinking there is, and as I brought up in the beginning, he could be a gang banger, hitman for some gangs, whatever. And people are deathly afraid of this guy. And anybody would be that knows this guy. This guy would kill you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about this. For a little bit of money, a pittance of money, this guy thinks he killed 6 women when he walked out that store. Killed 5, but he thought he killed 6. I mean, this guy, he's a bad dude. He's as bad as they get. And I believe, anybody that has any idea who he is deathly afraid of him, because if they snitch on him, he can go back and kill them. But if he is a member of a gang, even if he's not around, the gang members can come and kill them. Okay. I really look at this guy being, into the drug scene, but also being into the murder scene. This guy's got other bodies out there, besides what happened to Lane Bryant. I'm telling you, you just don't wake up one morning and walk into a store and kill, in your mind, 6 people. You only ended up killing 5, but killing 5 people walking out that door. You build up to that. That just doesn't have. This isn't like a massacre, at a school, or at a workplace. Okay, this is a planned robbery that turned into a mass murder. I mean, this guy did this for pennies on the dollar, man.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't know these 6 women were all going to be there, but he still went
He
along.
didn't care who was there.
Just, yeah.
He didn't care. And he knew he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Kill him, he had to kill. He knew it in his head because he had no mask. If you put a mask on, he may not have had to kill anybody, right? I mean, professional people don't do that.
Yeah.
They're after the money, not the life sentences that comes with murders.
Exactly.
They just want the money and out the door. Yeah. Or the death penalty that comes with a murder. Why do they need that if they have a mask on? They don't need to get involved in that. See, that's where he's so much unsophistication here.
Mm-hmm.
But then if he had a mask on, I'm here to deliver something to you. And it's not COVID. Not COVID. So yeah, they probably wouldn't have let him in the store. So
yeah.
So you see a little sophistication, but not a whole lot of anything.
No. All right, so I'm going to turn the questions here a little bit more towards the actual, scenario going down there with the women. Why didn't these women put up a fight? I mean, he's one man with a gun. Like, I understand that's intimidating, but what do you think here, John?
Because he's taken 2 at a time, or maybe 3, or 1, 2, 2, and he's telling them, now you're looking down the barrel of a gun and you're looking at a man that is telling you, just do what I tell you. Okay. Maybe he says to them, I want a little sex or something. That's a ruse too. Okay. If the woman thinks, okay, well, this guy's going to touch me or whatever it's going to do to me, but he's not going to kill me. When you're looking down the barrel of a gun, every cell in your body comes alive. I mean, things start to move in slow motion. Okay. I mean, this is the trauma that's going on. I mean, it has created you to be every cell in your body to come alive. And every cell is trying to stay alive. They're trying to stay that way. Okay. And the only way they can stay that way is to figure out what this predator's next move is. And if it sounds right and it looks right and it makes sense, they may go along with it. If it doesn't make sense, then they feel they have nothing to lose and they might try and do something else. But all these guys are always using the ruse. Just do what I tell you. Just do what I tell you. I'm not here to kill anybody. I'm only here for the money. Just lay down. You know, we've seen it with the I-70 killer. We've seen it with Zodiac. I mean, okay, just do what I tell you. Pretty much not so much with Zodiac. That's something else I'll get into. With the I-70 killer, definitely. Okay. But the I-70 killer and both Zodiac are both extremely visual people as well. And we'll get to that. But with this guy, guaranteed, just do what I tell you, just lay down, and I'm not going to hurt you. And that's why I don't think they gang rushed them because, well, first of all, he has them, one at a time, two at a time. He's taking them. As he's taking them, he's had them tie each other. He tied them, bonded them up. So now they're helpless. I mean, what are they going to do now, right?
Good point. So, okay, what about him groping the one woman?
Now, see, here's where I start looking at, like, if I'm looking for an addict that has done this, somebody that's so desperate that they need a fix, okay, they need something really bad because they're going crazy in their mind and they're having all kinds of withdrawal symptoms, in their mind, in their brain, right? So I start thinking to myself, well, I can see how a person's really desperate with that. I can also see how the drugs have not only made him desperate, they've made him impulsive as well. But the other part of it too is we say drugs, but everybody has a drug of choice. And if this guy is out there willing to murder for a little bit of money, 5 people, 6 people, he thought, I mean, he definitely is, got a particular drug of choice that has him hooked, that he is extremely addicted to. I'm going back to 2008, and I'm looking in that area around 2008, and there's 3 major drugs of choice. Of course, marijuana, we won't talk about that because people on marijuana are now usually murdering everybody that they come across for a couple dollars. But we see it with hardcore addiction. And I'm talking heroin, but with the heroin, and especially in the earlier morning, or in that part of the morning anyway, heroin is a strong central nervous system depressant. So pretty much has you, knocked out. It's a sedative. Now he can be coming out of that, and that's why he's starting to go through withdrawals. But that's not usually a person that wants to put the effort into grabbing people, tying people up, and putting some kind of work into this robbery. I mean, it shows a stupid behavior that a strung out heroin addict would have for trying to think they're going to get a lot of money in that time of the day in a department store. But heroin is one drug that I have close to me here. However, the groping of the woman and the sexual innuendo there does not really portray the heroin addict at that time of the morning that's that desperate to me. I could be wrong. But now, in 2008, up in that area, you also had cocaine, methamphetamine, right? Crack. Crack could get you doing something like that. Crack, cocaine, and methamphetamine are hypersexual drugs. They're very strong central nervous system stimulants, very hypersexual. Okay, I could see somebody on meth, crack, or cocaine doing something like that, where heroin, again, is not a stimulant and it's not hypersexual. It is a sedative and it is a central nervous system depressant. So I don't see it. So I'm probably leaning more towards the desperateness, definitely with the heroin, because his whole body, he knows is going to go in. He's going to go into like a flu-like symptomatic situation, or, excuse me, he's going to, he could be get it really bad and start to have all kinds of seizures, convulsions, muscle spasms, get really bad. When you're coming down from heroin, yeah, depending on how many bags a day you were on, if you had a heck of a habit, man, you're going to pay big time, right? But I don't see the sexual component. However, with the crack, the methamphetamine, and the other cocaine, I mean, them being stimulants, I could see the stimulation, the euphoria of doing what he was doing, the robbery, all the excitement. They love excitement. Okay, these type of addicts. That's why they chose these drugs and the stimulation of all the excitement. Okay, remember the central nervous system stimulant addicts. So they love all this going on. So, and the sexual component of groping the woman could be part of that. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with what type of addict he is. However, if we can zero down what type of addict he is, then we're going to have more of it. We're going to have another pathway to find out who he is, because he bought those drugs from somebody. Okay. And lots of times, you can start to get around to the dealers in the area or other dealers, or work through probation, who has dealers coming in that are on probation, and try to get information out of them. Dealers of various drugs that know various people, various addicts who've been buying off them for years. And there's different routes you can take to find out who this guy is, if you can narrow it down. I mean, you can still go to probation anyway, but if you can narrow it down to the drug of choice, and I'm pretty sure with that type of him being so desperate, I'm looking at like crack or heroin. I really am. Although heroin, again, can show the desperateness, and there's people that have done crazy things to get their heroin, horrible things to get their heroin, and there's a lot of crack addicts out there that have acted out really crazily, to their hypersexual behavior.
Okay, so my next question here, kind of going on the visual thing from earlier. What do you think about him having them put underwear over their heads? Like, does that have anything to do with him being visual? Or is that just...
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Our team. I think it is. I think visual people, a lot of them that kill people, don't want people looking them in the eyes when they shoot them. The I-70 killer especially.
Yeah.
He did not want anybody looking at him. Take him in the back room, turn him around, have him get down, and shoot them in the back of the head, and they execute. Okay? Same as this guy. Only he didn't do, 5 at a time or 6 at a time. He wasn't that desperate. He wanted 1 at a time. And then when he was leaving, it's pretty much shamed. Every single one of them pulled their pants down. So then when the first responders found them, they wouldn't only be dead, but they would be in a position that it would shame them as well. He wanted them shamed. That's a whole other case we're going to get into down the road here.
Yeah. Okay. Very good point there. Yeah, I like the connection. Okay, so my next one here. How do you think he exited the store? Because by the time the women were killed and the cops showed up, it's not much time.
I think he had the exit planned, and before he even walked in, I think he was smart enough to do that. And it depends. Depends on what he thought was safer. And I have to believe he felt the front was safer because he came in through the front. I have to believe that he did look at the front to see if there was cameras, because there weren't any, I guess, or something was wrong, because the camera does not have a picture of him in the front that we know of, unless I'm wrong. Could be wrong. But maybe he didn't know about the back. So he figured the front's okay. No cameras here. I just got to worry if there's cameras on the inside. So let me use my ruse. Okay. Let me, show whoever I run into the paperwork I have for them to sign for me to do the delivery. And, see, when I get inside, I'll just quickly look around. So he has to have a good eye. Quickly look around, scan the place, scope it out, make sure there's no cameras, the inside as well, and then I'll take care of business.
I like that theory. Okay, so what do you think about the two cars spotted leaving? Do you think they have anything to do with this getaway, or
It could be. It could be because the time, the guy shows some sophistication, and then he shows, some really stupid behavior. So, I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. I just think this guy really lives and dies through his eyes, and really would kind of scope out everything. I mean, unless I'm wrong, if it wasn't for this woman surviving, we wouldn't know what this guy looks like, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see again some crazy behavior, but then we see some sophistication.
Okay, so what about the shots? Do you think anybody heard these shots, or do you think he came prepared and took that into account somehow?
See, that's something else too. I haven't heard anybody say they heard shots. So I don't know if anybody did. Cops know. But, you would think somebody may have, depending on how he had the gun muffled. He had a silencer, only the cops know that. I mean, obviously, if nobody heard any shots, then it was because of the walls or whatever, and nobody else was in the store, and he just got everybody, and except the one fantastic, God bless her, victim that escaped. Um, ended up wounded though. Yeah, I mean, this is real. I mean, this is she'll probably be traumatized for the rest of her life. But I mean, hopefully she will get over that or has gotten over that. Yeah, I think he came to do business, this type of business, what he knew best. And I believe what he knew best was killing. And abounding people and keeping them tied up, keeping them bound so he could, do what he wanted to do. And I think that's his forte. Certainly not robbing department stores. I don't think is his forte because he'd never make a lot of money. I mean, I kill a lot of people. He'd kill a lot of people, but he'd never make hardly any money. So wouldn't it be interesting if he was riding away somewhere and got caught in a robbery?
Yeah.
Because he's not the brightest bulb in the tree when it comes to robberies. But I'll tell you, this guy does have some experience. He learned it somewhere. I don't know if he was in the service. I don't know if he was overseas. I don't know if he was in Iraq, Iran, wherever he could have been. I'm thinking more the gang life. I'm thinking more the gang life and, being a gang banger kind of guy, hitman for, the gangs or whoever. And that's why nobody has snitched on this guy because, the rule of the gang is you snitch, you die. And that's just bottom line.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here a little bit. I got a few more for you, but obviously nobody snitched on him yet here. How come they haven't been able to identify him if he's done something like this before, if he's killed people before? Like, where do you think he is now? I mean, what's this guy doing?
He could probably be dead because anybody that knew this guy at all in any way, shape, or form and had any kind of issues with him probably would have killed him first because they know he would have killed them. So he could be dead if he was running with the gangs. Also, like I said, he could have slipped through the cracks. He could have gotten lucky somehow and, be in jail somewhere doing some time on some other charges. If he was a hardcore addict, he could have overdosed and died. Okay, that's possible too, right? But this guy, he never worried a lot about anybody coming forward on him that he um, assaulted or robbed or anything else, because he killed them. I mean, this guy didn't leave any witnesses. If you saw him do something wrong to you or to anybody else, he would try and kill you. As far as he was concerned, no witness, no jail time. No witness, no law enforcement. That's how this guy rolls.
Yeah.
If he's still rolling,
that's
how he rolls. Yeah. Oh yeah. He doesn't. He probably in his early years did a robbery, and when I talk robberies, I'm talking street robbery, person to person, home invasion, something like that, not departments. And probably let somebody live, and they snitched on him and they testified against him in court, and he got some time somewhere along the line when he was younger. Could be a smaller kind of offense, right? And you know, he realized that, if this guy wasn't here in court, he couldn't testify against me, and I wouldn't go to jail. So he made sure whoever he had altercations with after that weren't going to be around to show up in court and testify against him.
Okay.
He's a bad dude.
Just
The
did not
worst
care
of the
about
worst.
people.
Worst of the worst.
So if he's still around today, though, do you think he would be doing this still? Robbing, killing people?
I think if he's still around, he's definitely mixed up, in some kind of gang situation or whatever. But he definitely, his forte would be leaving bodies.
Mhm.
That's his forte. This guy is a stone cold killer. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And I don't care if he has, a habit, or did have a habit, or doesn't have a habit, or whatever, methamphetamine, crack, heroin. Yeah, it takes a special kind of person, even under those circumstances, and being under the influence of these drugs, that still doesn't make you a heartless, homicidal maniac.
Yeah.
And this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life means nothing to this, or didn't mean anything to this guy.
Guys, one sick puppy. All right, John, here. We've kind of already talked about all of this, but I just want to wrap it up with you. How would you profile this guy? What would be your consensus on him?
I'd be looking for, and again, kudos to Detective Lavasser. I'd be looking for, somebody with a habit, somebody desperate, to pick up something. Like I said, him back and forth between the heroin and crack, right? That's the kind of type of person I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for somebody that has had training, not only knowing about, and maybe years earlier, about, showing up at department stores with paperwork, right? And using that as a ruse to get in and scope things out, but also as probably has a history too of, stealing, merchandise from various stores, when he was younger. You know what I mean? Just lifting merchandise out of stores, picking up merchandise and pocketing it and going out the door with it. where he got used to looking around stores to see if anybody was looking or whatever. And in his young years, right? I think that, you know, he could be busted on various things. What was the last part of your question?
Just asking how you would profile this guy. You know, what are the main points to look at?
Yeah, the visual part of him would be something I'd be very, very interested in. Like I said, showing the paperwork and everything before he walked into the store. You know, brandishing the gun, which he's going to use anyway. Um, you know, focusing on the way he looks and dresses, the way he has his hair, the beads in his hair and everything, makes me think he's a very visual kind of person with a habit. He's got a habit. Like I said, I don't know if it's crack or it's heroin, whatever. He's got a habit too. Um, Definitely any kind of legal job he had probably had to do with some kind of delivery kind of service or something where he understood, like I mentioned, about having, you know, the manifest or the paperwork or whatever. And also, you know, truck drivers are extremely visual people too, you know, extremely visual. And, you know, they have to be in order to do that job, and especially in today's world, in today's traffic. So I think there's a possibility I'd look at him as a truck driver as well. But I mean, you know, and it's a pretty solitary job lots of times, unless you're a helper or you have a helper, but usually it's a solitary job. You're by yourself, you don't have to converse with people. Because this guy's really not a conversationalist. I mean, he's more, let me see it, let me covet what I see that will make me feel good, or what I want. What I want, I see it, so I'll covet it. I'll take it, regardless of how, regardless who gets hurt. I mean, that's that antisocial, you know, psychopathic kind of personality that just, you know, has only has regards for themselves, and is only really concerned with their self gratification.
I think you know, you put this guy down. You got a good profile on him.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, why not put it out there, right? All these years later, we got $100,000 reward, folks. $100,000 reward on this guy. Okay, we're going to put his picture up, put the links up right to the phone number for the police. You know, I mean, you know, but believe me when I tell you, you know, this guy, like I said, getting back to that visual intake, because I've done so much research on a lot of these guys, and so many of them, such a high percentage come back as being so visually oriented, and that's it. You know, put the underwear on your head so you can't see me when I shoot you. I don't want you looking at me, visual. Okay. And also, I don't want anybody showing up and identifying me and testifying against me and me going to jail. So if I kill you, you can't show up and point me out and say you saw me do this or that. Right. So this is a man, again, probably of very few words, but also a man of extreme darkness, cruelty, and sadism. I mean, he did. Maybe he's not a sadist, but you know, he's definitely you know, a professional killer in my mind.
Yeah, sick. That's why. That's all I got for you here, John.
Well, thank you so much, Leah. You really did a great job. I truly appreciate it. I want to thank the audience. They're great as always. We can't thank you enough. We truly appreciate you. Please feel free to send us your comments. We love your comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about our rundown. Again, for more detail, check out Detective Perspective, Detective Eric Lavasser. He's got some really good stuff on there. And, most importantly, stay on your toes and take care of yourself. We live in a very violent world, very violent world. Be on your toes, keep your eyes open, and take care of yourself. Most importantly, take care of yourself and make it a great day. And until we meet again, God bless. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Leah.